Mr. Chairman, I rise tonight to offer an amendment on a very important issue, namely the government's authority under Section 215 of the USA Patriot Act to access library circulation records, library patron lists, library internet records, bookseller sales records, or bookseller customer lists. Specifically, this amendment bars the State Department from providing support for an application under Section 215 to get library and bookseller records. Mr. Chairman, this is a version of the amendment that I attempted to offer yesterday and am offering it tonight. Mr. Chairman, in the United States today, there is a great concern about terrorism. All of us are concerned about terrorism. Our country suffered a dastardly and horribly destructive attack on September 11th, 2001, and every member of this body is determined to do all that we can to fight terrorism and to apprehend those people who are at war against our country. But many of us believe that that fight against terrorism must be waged in a way that does not undermine the basic constitutional rights and protections that have made us a great and free country. The very good news that I bring to you tonight is that all across the United States, more and more citizens, including thousands of librarians and booksellers, are speaking out against the extremely anti-democratic elements of the USA Patriot Act, legislation that was hastily passed in the wake of September 11th attack. And just yesterday, in an amendment offered by Mr. Otter, this House overwhelmingly said that we will deal with that issue piece by piece. And I'm proud of the effort that Mr. Otter and many of us made to say, yes, we will fight terrorism, but we will do it in a way that protects our Constitution. Mr. Chairman, specifically under Section 215 of the USA Patriot Act, the government can get a search warrant for any tangible thing. They can go into a library and say, we are doing an investigation on international terrorism. And having said that, a judge in a secret FISA court is obliged to give them a warrant to go into a library, to go into a bookstore, and that they can secure the reading habits, the books taken out, the books being purchased by any American. All of us want to support law enforcement going after terrorism, but we do not want to give the FBI the opportunity to go into a fishing expedition. Mr. Chairman, all across this country, people are saying no to this aspect, Section 215 of the USA Patriot Act. The underlying legislation that I have introduced has 129 bipartisan co-sponsors, some of the most conservative members of the House, some of the most progressive members of the House, Democrats, Republicans, independent. This concept has been supported by 20 newspapers, major newspapers, the Los Angeles Times, the Detroit Free Press, the Christian Science Monitor, the Hallelujah Advertiser, and on and on. This legislation, this concept, has the support of librarians all across the country, including the American Library Association. It has the support of booksellers all across this country, including the American Booksellers Association. Bottom line here, Mr. Chairman, is that 129 members of this House have said, yes, we will fight terrorism, but no, we will not undermine the basic constitutional rights that make us a free country. Over 125 communities, large cities, small towns have come on board this issue. Librarians in California and elsewhere have been forced to put up signs saying, librarian patron, we can't protect your privacy. So, Mr. Chairman, I believe that I speak for the vast majority of the members of this House who say, yes, let's fight terrorism, but let's do it in a way that keeps our country free, that doesn't have the United States government and the FBI looking over our shoulders as we take out books from the library or purchase books at a bookstore. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman yields back his time. Gentleman from Arizona.
Mr. Chairman, I move to strike the last word.
Gentleman's recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to accept this amendment. been scratching my head trying to look at this thing. I noticed as it was purported to given to the desk there, it refers to the bill that we had yesterday. So this is another bill, that it was dealing with. Our bill has nothing to do with the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, whatever. So I don't know what the application of this is at all to our bill, but Mr. Chairman, I am prepared to accept this, and we will consider it and try and digest it and understand it and deal with it appropriately in the conference.
Well, will my friend yield on that?
I would yield to the gentleman for a brief.
I thank him, and I do understand. You're quite right. This is not the cleanest way to address the issue. I would have preferred to do it yesterday, but as you know, because of an agreement that was reached, a number of Republicans and those of us on this side were unable to offer the amendments that we wanted to offer. I think there may be a few other speakers who would like to speak to this issue, and I thank the chairman very much for his support.